Hello, this is John Martin from Toko-Musik Mex. This is the second part, the interview with Hela San. And
Hi,
we,
John.
it's my pleasure. So I wanted to talk a little bit. Let's go back to what you were talking about. Um, some of the memorable moments in live performances and how basically once you kind of got into the moment there, you really started to feel some feedback. In my experience, and like you mentioned, there's kind of two different types of performers. The ones that are just naturally talented, but absolutely have intense fear of being watched all the time. And then, so they'll have the lights like right in their face. So they're basically performing to light. They hear the feedback, but they don't like to see the people's faces. That's not the way that you like to perform. You like to have that connection. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do. I enjoy it very much, but it's not easy for me. I
Okay.
mean, it's always a struggle
Hmm.
to get comfortable on stage. Because on one hand, I really like it. There's this part of me that likes to be watched and admired, of course,
Right,
and,
right.
and heard, but there's also this huge fear of doing things wrong, just um, not being up to the task, you know.
Hmm.
At first, when I was young, when I started performing, I would really get this stage fright, like really bad,
Interesting.
like shaking, and I felt like I was about to pass out, and it was really bad. And I had to do it. I mean, I did it, but
Hmm.
I felt like I was doing it like terribly bad, and my voice wouldn't come out as usual,
Uh-huh.
and it still happens to me. I
Really
I know that I don't sing as I would like to when I'm on stage.
interesting.
There's this yeah, my voice is not as free as it should be, and I don't enjoy it as I usually do most of the times. But there'll be like this one show that I really get, usually when I'm by myself, when I don't have like a band, and I'm in front of a small crowd, and I think it's more manageable for me.
Huh.
There won't be any tech issues. It's a lot, I have a lot more control over it. So
Okay.
usually it's easier for me to just relax and enjoy it.
Hmm.
And then the connection happens more easily and more quickly.
Naturally. Yeah,
Yeah.
naturally. Yeah, that's interesting because I wonder, sometimes too, when I was singing pretty regularly, I also had to do the sound engineering, which is just absolutely a horrible combination because basically you're out there with a wireless mic in the
Yeah, I know.
well, wherever it's at, stadium or amphitheater or
Yeah.
whatever, and you're trying to like plug in while you're singing, plug in people's mid
No,
tones and bass
it's
tones,
terrible.
and then you got the guitar player going, I can't hear myself in the monitor, and you've got the other backup singers going, I can't hear anything, all I hear is drums. So like it sounds like it's almost more freeing for you to perform by yourself because you're not thinking, well, if I mess this up, I'm going to mess up the percussionist or I'm going to
Yeah.
mess up. So it's almost kind of like when you're solo singing, you don't have those pressures on your shoulders to kind of, bring everybody in the same way. That's an
Yeah.
interesting way to look at it. And I never thought about that, as I was doing it. Um, you
And
know,
I
not,
hate it because I love playing with my band. The
mhm,
energy is totally different, and I
right.
really enjoy it. I get to just get out of the piano and just sing.
Yeah.
That's what I love doing. I'm a better singer than pianist, definitely. So when I play with my band, I get to do things that I can't do when I have to play like every
Right.
song. But there's always this risk of not hearing myself, and
Yeah.
then just something happening
Being
with
off
mic
pitch.
disconnecting, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hate that because I really have to, I'm really picky with my with my in-ears and with my monitoring, and I have
Hmm.
to be able to listen to myself perfectly, but also the music, and it's
Yeah,
really
it's a
complicated.
difficult, it's a difficult it's I you know I'm a vocalist too, and it's a difficult thing because you need to hear the bass,
Yeah,
you need to hear the drums,
but
you
not too much.
also, yeah, but not so much that it like you're singing off pitch, or you're not singing, you're not
Yeah.
coming in at the right time. For me, it always was the drummer. I would just look back at him and I just kind of be checking for his signature, like,
Yeah.
hitting the floor tom at a specific moment. I knew, okay, now's my moment. And once I got everything dialed in, it was much easier for me to perform, but it was really difficult doing the sound engineering plus that. And it was always because
Of course.
people were super, they had no problems telling you this sounds horrible. I can't hear myself. So that's an interesting thing. So when you were playing at that one little place, that was just you singing, right? That was basic.
Yes.
There was no, were you playing the piano as well?
Yeah,
And
I was playing the piano, and but it was just me, and I had total control over the piano and the voice, and it's freeing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
limited because there's a number of things that I can't do,
Right.
and certain songs that I can't play by myself, but it's also freeing because I get to do, like, I get to free myself from the click,
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
example, and just do my thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So I'm gonna ask you a little question that with the NFT project that Toko-Musik Mex is doing for you, like what made you decide to do it? Because there's a lot of people that kind of have this bad taste in their mouth for NFTs. Not a lot of people are doing music NFTs. If they are, they're doing something similar to SoundCloud or, like uploading music to social media, like micropayments, where there's like
Yeah.
a percent of a penny that per play. What made you decide to, and it's always being it's hardest being the first person to do anything. So why did Hela decide to do a music NFT project with Toko-Musik?
Well, first, I think this is the maybe the first I've heard of NFTs. I
Wow.
don't know any. I didn't know anything about it,
Uh-huh.
so I didn't know what I had to lose.
Mm-hmm.
But and I still don't. I mean, I don't think there's anything to lose there. But
Not that I found.
also, I'm not. I mean, I'm all for people listening to my music
Sure.
wherever they can get to it. I'm happy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
um I'm not in it for the money, definitely, because if I was in music for the money, I'm like a
Stopped a
terrible
long
choice.
time.
No, definitely that's not how it works.
Right.
um so I want to I want to try anything, you
Yeah.
know. I don't make music to become famous,
Hmm.
because that would be a terrible business. I mean, my
Not
music,
everybody's gonna, yeah, not everybody's
yeah,
gonna
no,
hit it.
I just, it's I don't think that that's the good reason to do this.
Hmm.
And at least for me, it's not. So, but I really love the feedback of people listening to my music, and
Yeah.
maybe they'll find something that speaks to them in one of my songs, and
Hmm.
then maybe we can connect. And I don't know. There's been songs that connect with me and that resonate with me in such a magical way that they move something in me. And
Yeah.
if I'm ever able to do that with somebody else, that's it's all worth it, you know.
I love
So
the
if I can put my music out there in a different way, then I'm happy to do it.
yeah, I enjoy what I enjoy about it, the idea that what we're doing is that there's going to be almost like you're giving a part of yourself. I mean, you can release a song and people could find it and they could stream it. But what you're doing is you're kind of giving people a glimpse into your creative process. And I think that that's inspirational because when you see somebody else's creative process, you go, "Oh, that's not much different than mine." It may
Mhm.
be a different genre, it may be a different instrument, it may be a different media. I mean, painters have a process. It starts with a book, and they draw out the idea, and maybe sometimes they'll do, if they're sculptors, they'll do a clay version of it, a scaled version. But everybody has a process. Every creative has a process. And I think that if you can show that, if you can share that through your NFTs, that's a huge gift. And not just for today, that's a huge gift for the future, is showing people, hey, if you have that similar, like you said, need to create, this is how I do it. You don't have to do it exactly the same, but this is just my process. It seems like everybody tells a lot of artists, hey, this is what we want. I like what you're doing there, but I think it should be more this. Or I don't, with this project anyway, we don't want to do that. I want Hela's process. I want you to show me what your creative steps are. And so that's a very I think that's a very interesting thing. I wish that when we lose artists early, all the questions that are in our mind about a song, what would be so wonderful to just be able to ask Prince. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's interviews, or Chris Cornell, or any of the people that have gone before. If you could just understand some of their songs, well, with the NFTs, the description's going to be in it. And I really, really, first of all, I admire you for even stepping out, not even totally understanding the thing, but stepping out and actually trying it, because a lot of people are afraid to be the very first person to do something. So bravo. Kudos
No,
to you.
thank
That's a
you.
huge step. I mean, just for anybody. So how do you stay motivated, when I'm sure you have slumps. Let's just talk about that. I'm sure there's moments where you're hitting home runs every time, and everything's easy, easy, easy. And then it just absolutely becomes impossible. How do you just step away from music for a little bit, or how do you kind of conquer that hurdle, as far as, okay, I know that I'm a creative, and you have to keep telling yourself, I'm a creative, I'm a musician, I'm a pianist. You know, how do you rekindle that? What is your personal steps to rekindling that fire in your spirit?
I think I'm not someone who gives up easily.
Okay.
I know, of course, I get frustrated. Of course, there are moments that I think, is this even worth it? I mean, what do I want from this? What am
Yes.
I trying to accomplish with this? And why is it so hard to stand out? Because of course, what we all want as artists is to stand out, even
Right.
a little bit. I mean, just to make something that someone can relate to, and
Admire. Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
and it gets really hard because there's this oversupply of music, and it's really hard, I think, to tell like real music or real art from just production.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that mine is something like this beautiful art, amazing, and just like higher thing. Of course not, but I really try to put myself in it. So
Hmm.
I think that with my first record, I was working with this producer that really shift things for me, as a composer,
Okay.
because he started to look at my songs, and then he was like, okay, this sounds good, but what part of you is in it?
Hmm.
Is it really you? And I was really young, and I was like, well, it sounds good, and I like to sing it, and
It's
I
good
like the
enough.
words. Yeah, but it's not
Right.
like real. It's not authentic.
Hmm.
And then he would take another song and say, this one has something. So I realized that I had to commit to something really honest and
Hmm.
authentic, and to make songs that nobody else could make.
Right.
And maybe it's not always easy to speak about myself, and to put things that I don't like about myself in the songs, but I have to do it in order for it to be honest.
Hmm.
So um I know that I'm committed to it, and I know that I'm able to make music that is very, very me, very personal.
Right.
So as long as I keep doing that, I know that I'm on the right path, like art wise.
Hmm.
But the industry demands something else from us artists
That's a very
as
good, that's a
independent.
good
Yeah,
point. Yeah, that's a good point. And
I
how do
can't
you deal
always.
with that? How do you deal with
Yeah,
that if it's different than what you feel? You know what I mean?
yeah, it's really hard because I would like just to write songs and perform, but I also have to do the marketing stuff and
Exactly.
to work the social media stuff and
Hmm.
to think about the music videos and to produce things and to I have to be in everything all at once. So it
Yeah.
gets really frustrating because I have to know about these things and
Hmm.
I don't, I'm not good at marketing, but I have to because I'm an
Right.
independent artist, so I have to do it. And that's the frustrating part. That's the hard part.
Hmm.
To keep trying to build a career, doing everything at once and messing it up and not being able to keep up with the times because I'm not as young as other artists that do so well in social media and know how to make profit from it. I
Yeah.
don't. But I try to be present with my music and
Hmm.
to know that I'm doing what I can do and what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not ever going to be a mainstream artist, but that's not as important as being real with my music. So that's why it's so important for me to people to know that people know who I am and they
Yeah.
can follow my creative process. They can know about the songs and where I come from and where the songs come from. That's very important for me. And well, how I stay motivated, I try to I don't, as I was saying, I don't write songs as usual as much as I would love to, but I try to go to the movies a lot.
Hmm.
I try to stay connected with how I feel about what's going on in the world,
The world. Yeah.
how I process my experiences, so I can write about these experiences, about the things that are happening in the world, but from my own personal view.
Sure.
Um, I don't know. That's how I do it.
Yeah. No.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Sometimes it's a home run. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
let's go back to the drawing. No, I don't think that any creative process and any creator knows how to do everything. I mean, I know some very creative individuals, but marketing is not their thing. I know some very good marketing people who think they're creators and then they're not. So I mean, it's a very rare individual that knows everything. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, not knows everything, but just does everything well, you know. And so it's interesting that so you kind of said the producer said, hey, I like this and it's good, so you kind of needed that feedback, you know,
Yes.
whereas you don't, some people don't like, especially, you know, some creatives don't like it when somebody says, hey, I want this to be changed to make it more marketable or make it more accepted. You kind of, and at least with your first album you needed to have that feedback to kind of say this is good, but if I have your trust, let's try it this way, you know.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You know, some people say that they really lean a lot on their production team, and then others say I wish they'd give me more free reign. So I guess it's just completely up to the individual. Yeah,
Yeah,
seems like it.
I need to have feedback.
Uh-huh.
I am very closed with my creative process, but once I finish the song, I need to put it out with my production team, mostly with my husband, who's
Uh-huh.
right now my producer and has been for the last 10 years.
Uh-huh. So it
I
must be
have
doing
to,
something right if he's if you guys have been able to
yeah,
work together for 10 years. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah, and we've found a way to make that a manageable thing between family things and the work things,
Yes,
you
of
know.
course. It's a huge, I mean, there's a huge difference between, you know, being a co-parent and being and being somebody in the same business. I mean,
Yeah.
because that's literally what it is. So,
But it
I
really works
mean,
for us. It really
I
works for us.
applaud you guys.
And
That's
I
amazing.
thank you.
Mhm.
And it's not easy for me to show a song that has just been written and maybe it's not
Mhm.
finished. I hate it. I feel like I'm opening myself up and I feel really vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I'm able to do that with my husband, and he's very he really respects that process, and
Hmm.
he doesn't give me a lot of feedback, and he's really he really trusts my ability as
Judgment.
a
Hmm.
composer, but I really need that feedback. I
Yeah.
I need to give him the song,
Hmm.
so like to say goodbye to the song for a bit, and for him to work on it and to give me like
The
a
feedback.
different, yeah, like a different version of the song so
Do
I
you
can.
listen? So do you listen to it? So is it almost kind of like a runoff type of a thing, or is it a hey, let's listen to this together? What is that whole dynamic? Because I'm very
Yeah.
not too many people that are married can work together,
I know.
especially in creativity. So that's very admirable. How is the process? So basically, you hand it to him and run away, or do you sit down with him on the couch, put it in the whatever, however you play it, and listen to it together?
Yeah, I'll usually play it for him.
Okay.
Like I have this idea that's maybe the full song, or
Hmm.
maybe like a big part of the song, maybe it's not finished, and I'll
Uh-huh.
play it to him, and I'll just wait for him to say, "Oh my God, it's wonderful." And sometimes he won't.
Okay.
Sometimes he'll say, "Oh, that's a good idea." But I usually I don't show him things that I'm not sure about, that
Okay.
I don't know there's something good in it.
Uh-huh. And that
When I
comes from
show
working with each
something,
other. Yeah, that
yeah,
comes
when I
from working
show
with
it
each other. Okay.
something to him, I know that's something we're gonna be working on.
That's very cool.
And
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, just that's a unique trait, by the way. Both of you guys to be able to work together to create these things is and so I really admire you guys for that. Um, thinking on, we already kind of talked about the NFT, how did technology and social media, how it's impacted you, but you said you weren't really good with social media, you weren't good with marketing. So that's basically handled completely by your production team, right? I mean, you handle only the creating and things like that, and then you basically give it to them to do their thing, their marketing thing.
no, I usually do that all by myself. I've worked. It depends on the stage that I'm in. When
Right.
I have a new release coming, like when I released my last album,
Hmm.
I hired a team. Definitely
Okay.
did it.
Uh-huh.
I hired a team for the promotion and the PR and press, to manage press.
Wow.
So I can do that all by myself, but I usually do the social media thing by myself.
Hmm.
And depending on the project that I'm working on, I will work with someone or someone else.
Particular person. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it happens like in different stages. I'm currently not playing live.
Hmm.
Um,
Why?
I
Why
am
did you? Did that have to do with COVID, or what was the?
no,
What?
well, yeah, but not so much.
Okay.
During the lockout, um, I began working. Well, it happened when I was writing my new record. My last record was my new record at the time.
Uh-huh.
I had to write a number of songs and produce them in a year.
Oh wow.
So it was in 2020 when I didn't have anything else to do because I had a
Sure.
tour canceled, I had gigs canceled, so I just had to stay home and write songs. So that's what I did, and but I played some gigs last year and the year after that, um, and I think it was um, all last last year, August, when I played, or no, November, when I played my last gig.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm right now, I'm in a writing phase. I've been away from the stage for some time because
Hmm.
I really want to connect to my writing. I want to feel like I feel like I'm in a different moment from when I made my last record.
Hmm.
And I want to, it was 2 years ago. So I want to really dive deep into what I'm feeling right now, the person that I am right now, and get new material and then start playing live again.
It's hard
I'm
to do
thinking
both at the
about,
same time. Yeah, because you were
yeah,
saying
I
your
can't do
creative
both.
process. Yeah, it definitely.
And I'm thinking about making some changes to the live band, and we're also working on that. So I need to step back for a moment and
Hmm.
then work on the new material and see how it sounds. I mean, to know what the new music sounds like and what it needs to be played live. So yeah, it's a whole different process
So,
than
so
playing live.
just to have a little bit of ahead of everybody else, how is the new music sounding? What are your future plans? I want to know. This. It sounds like you're working on something. What are you working on?
Yeah, I'm working on some new songs. I'm about to release a new collaboration with Mo Gonzalez. And
Wow.
that's a
Okay.
very different song from the ones that I put out recently. It's a very folky song with lots of guitars and strings on it, and
Hmm.
it sounds different. And I really think that we managed, Mo and me, we managed to give that song a very different spirit
Hmm.
from the things that I had been doing, and I really like it. But the new ones that I'm making on my own, I think, well, they're definitely very personal. They
Uh-huh.
speak about the things that I've been going through for the last year.
Hmm.
Um, they are very personal, but I write in a way that I think I try to make it beautiful. I
Right.
try to make it, although it may be something hard to talk about, I try to make it beautiful, and I try to make it relatable
Yeah.
to other people. And we're beginning to realize that we might need a guitarist in the band, like full
Full
time.
time. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We used to have a guitarist in the band when we were in Mexico City, but then we tried to, like, just to be three of us on stage. So we've been playing without a guitarist for time,
Uh-huh.
and I think we might have to call some new bandmates to invite them
To try
to the
out. Yeah.
band. Yeah.
That's exciting. So I mean, obviously, if you've been performing a certain way, there's obviously different changes when you're writing music that includes a guitar versus that this song was never really, well, when you at least created it, it wasn't made to have a guitar. So,
Yeah.
I mean, anything that you do in the future is going to have a different sound, obviously, because you're adding a guitar. That's very interesting how one thing just changes kind of the whole sound and feel of some music, huh? It's pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
because I usually we don't make music thinking about the band we have. We
Uh-huh.
make music, and we when we're working on a song, we try to listen to what the song needs, what it's asking,
Wow.
sound
Okay.
wise. I mean, it's not like, okay, we have a bass, we have a guitar, we have a piano, and what are we going to do with that? No, maybe a song may ask for just vocals,
Is that
or
obvious to
maybe
you though? Is that something that
no,
when you hear a
no.
song and you go, and the song speaks to you that it needs to have more percussion or something, do you know immediately, or is it that you play it with percussion and then it's like, oh, that sounds much better? What's normally the process on that?
No, that's more Rodrigo's range.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, my husband usually, I will give him the song with just
Right.
piano and vocals, and maybe I will tell him I'm hearing like this drums or strings or a
Hmm.
guitar here, but then he will take the song and just strip it and make something from it.
Interesting.
And usually he will start to make to test it, you know, with a guitar, maybe a string quartet. We've done that, or maybe just piano and vocals, or maybe a lot of synths going on.
Right.
It's different every time. So when we have to perform it live, we have to make arrangements for it to work. We don't have a string quartet, but maybe we'll have a celloist or
come in for it.
Yeah. So it's different every time.
So what are you projecting then? I mean, not trying to put a timetable on your, but what are some future live, you know, you said you stepped away from the live thing to do the creative process. You think in another year you'll start performing live again? Or is that just kind of, it'll happen when it happens, I'll know when it's time to do that? Is that kind of one of those deals?
Yeah, no, I think I would love to perform again at the end of this year. I think we're gonna be putting out a couple of singles.
Okay.
I love to make albums. That's something that's always meant a lot to me, you know, like a collection of songs. And there's a reason for the number 1, number 2, number 3, you know, the lyrics and everything. But people just don't listen to albums anymore. I hate that. But I think songs. We're going to be putting out songs, and then maybe an EP. We have to be able to look at the big picture of all the songs we have and decide what we're going to be doing with them. And but I would love to be performing live again with a new band or the a bigger band. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this year. Yeah.
Maybe a horn section. Who knows?
Maybe. Oh, I would love that.
Well, listen, it's been a wonderful. Thank you so much for taking some time out and talking with us. So Hela San is going to be releasing her collection. It'll be the very first limited edition collection with Toko-Musik Mex. Be looking for it. It'll be an immersive experience. She's going to be describing each of her songs, giving a little bit of background to each one. We'll get to see pictures of her creative process for that song. So Hela, thank you so much for your time today. It really was a wonderful, and I hope that you'll allow me to interview you more as you're releasing this new record that's coming out. I would love to go see it. We're close enough to Guadalajara. I can come out wherever you are performing, and love to meet the family. And but thank you so much for your time today, and just talking through the entire process of how it goes from a need to how you do your step-by-step process of creating this music to fulfill that need and manifesting something into real life that is in your head. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
No, thank you. Thank you, John. It was really, really enjoyable.
I'm glad.
And I look forward to keep talking to you and
for sure.
sharing my process.